A few months ago, a man in our community, 74 years old, active, sharp, always smiling, was rushed to the hospital. No warning signs, no dramatic symptoms, just a small issue he ignored for weeks, until it became something serious. His story isn't unique. In fact, it's far more common than most people realize. Many seniors feel fine on the outside, but unknowingly make small daily health mistakes that quietly lead to major problems down the line. It's not because we're careless, it's because we trust old habits. We think, I've done this my whole life and I'm still here. But what worked at 40 or 50 doesn't always work at 70. Our bodies change, our systems become more sensitive. And the smallest decisions, what we eat, how we move, when we rest, can now carry much bigger consequences. That's why today's video is so important. We're going to talk about 7 common health mistakes seniors make, often without realizing it, that can lead to serious health complications if left unchecked. Some of them are things you might be doing right now, simply out of routine. Others might surprise you entirely. But by the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to catch these mistakes early, make a few simple changes, and protect your health in ways that truly matter. And make sure to stay with me until the end, because mistake number 7 is something most seniors think is harmless, when in reality, it could be putting your life at risk. Now let's get into the first mistake and what you can do today to avoid it. 1. Ignoring subtle warning signs. It started with something small, a little shortness of breath while walking up the stairs, a strange flutter in the chest every now and then, an ache in the back that came and went. Harmless, right? That's what my friend Alan thought too. He was 72, in decent shape, always on the move. When he felt a little off, he brushed it off as just age. He said things like, "I'm just tired," or "That's normal for someone my age." He didn't want to make a fuss, didn't want to be one of those people who run to the doctor over every little thing. But what he didn't know was that his body had been quietly sending him warnings. A few weeks later, Alan had a mild heart attack. The doctors told him it could have been prevented, or at least caught earlier, if he had paid attention to the signs. That's the danger. After 65, our bodies become more sensitive. The signals become quieter. What seems small, a little fatigue, a nagging headache, sudden forgetfulness, can sometimes be the first sign of something serious. A tiny cough might be the start of a lung issue. Occasional dizziness could point to blood pressure problems. Subtle memory slips might be early signs of cognitive decline. But too often, we wait. We hope it goes away. Or worse, we tell ourselves it's just part of getting older. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being informed. You know your body better than anyone. And when something feels different, off, or persistent, listen. Don't wait for it to get worse, because catching problems early is often what makes the biggest difference. It could mean a quick fix instead of a hospital stay. And speaking of early action, there's another habit that far too many seniors let slip: avoiding regular checkups. Let's talk about why missing just one can quietly put your health at risk. 2. Skipping regular checkups. For years, I only went to the doctor when something felt wrong. No pain, no problem. That was my mindset. I didn't like clinics. I didn't want to hear bad news. And frankly, I told myself I was doing pretty well for my age. My friend Linda had a similar outlook. She was 75, always active, always smiling. She skipped her annual physical for 2 years in a row. Why? She felt fine. And the idea of sitting in a waiting room for hours didn't appeal to her. Then one day out of nowhere, she fainted in her kitchen. Turns out her blood pressure had been dangerously high for months. Silent, gradual, undetected. The scary part? It could have been caught early, if she'd gone in for a routine checkup. That's the truth many of us don't realize. After 65, even when we feel fine, things can be changing inside. Slowly, quietly, and dangerously. Heart issues, kidney problems, diabetes, even certain cancers. Many of these start without obvious symptoms. By the time we notice something is wrong, the situation may already be serious. Regular checkups aren't just about reacting to illness. They're about staying ahead of it. A simple blood test can catch imbalances before they become emergencies. A blood pressure reading can reveal problems you haven't felt yet. A routine screening might uncover something you didn't even know to look for. It's not about being afraid, it's about being proactive. You go in, you get checked, you stay informed. Because when you make your health a priority, you protect your future. And if the fear of what they might find is holding you back, remember this: it's always better to know early than to regret waiting. Now, even if you're getting those checkups, they only help if you're following the doctor's instructions. And unfortunately, many seniors unknowingly make a dangerous mistake when it comes to their medications. Let's talk about that next. Taking prescriptions the wrong way without even realizing it. Number 3, taking medications incorrectly. A few years ago, I was taking 5 different pills every day. One for blood pressure, one for cholesterol, one for joint pain, a vitamin, and something the doctor gave me to help me sleep. It seemed simple enough until one morning, I got lightheaded while gardening and nearly passed out. Turns out I had accidentally doubled one of my doses, and I'm not alone. My neighbor Tom kept his pills in a kitchen drawer. No labels, no schedule. He'd forget if he'd taken his morning dose, so he'd take it again just to be safe. One day he ended up in the ER with dangerously low blood pressure. This is a silent issue among seniors. Taking medications incorrectly without realizing the risk. It can be missing doses, taking them at the wrong time, mixing them with other meds or foods that interact badly, adjusting doses without a doctor's advice, or using someone else's medication just for now. As we get older, our kidneys and liver don't process medicine as quickly. So what used to be no big deal in your 50s can become serious in your 70s or 80s. Some side effects build slowly: confusion, fatigue, dizziness, so we think it's just aging. But often it's a medication mistake quietly affecting your health. The solution? Use a pill organizer. Set alarms or keep a written schedule. And always ask your doctor or pharmacist if you're unsure about a new prescription. Also, bring your full list of meds to every appointment, even the over-the-counter stuff. You'd be surprised how many interactions happen with things as common as heartburn tablets or herbal supplements. Taking your meds the right way isn't just about following directions. It's about protecting your mind, your balance, your heart, and your future. Now let's talk about something even more basic. Water, because one of the most overlooked health mistakes after 65 is also the simplest to fix: not drinking enough. Let's get into that next. 4, not drinking enough water. It sounds so simple: drink more water. And yet, for many seniors, it's one of the easiest things to forget and one of the most dangerous to ignore. I used to go most of the day without thinking about it. I'd have my coffee in the morning, maybe a little tea in the afternoon, and that was it. I didn't feel thirsty, so I assumed I was fine. But then I started noticing little things. My mouth was dry more often. I felt tired even after sleeping. My joints ached more than usual, and I was getting lightheaded when I stood up too quickly. At first, I chalked it up to age, but at a routine checkup, my doctor looked at me and said, "You're dehydrated." I was shocked. I didn't feel dehydrated. But the truth is, as we age, our sense of thirst gets weaker. So by the time we feel thirsty, our body is already running low. My friend Carol had it worse. She thought she had a urinary tract infection, but it turned out she was severely dehydrated. It landed her in the hospital with low blood pressure and kidney strain. Dehydration doesn't always show up with dramatic symptoms. It sneaks in, causing fatigue, confusion, constipation, even heart palpitations. Over time, it can lead to serious issues with your kidneys, brain function, and overall energy. So how much is enough? Most experts recommend around 6 to 8 cups of water per day for older adults. More if you're active, on certain medications, or live in a warm climate. Here's what helped me. I started keeping a water bottle nearby, even at home. I drank a glass of water before each meal, just to build the habit. I cut back on dehydrating drinks like coffee and alcohol in the evening. Since then, I felt more alert, more comfortable, and more in control of my health. And hydration isn't just about what you drink. It's part of keeping your body moving. But there's a health mistake many seniors make out of fear, not laziness. Let's talk about why avoiding physical activity can actually speed up your decline. 5, avoiding physical activity. Out of fear. A few years ago, I tripped on a rug and took a hard fall in the kitchen. Nothing broke, thank goodness. But the fear stuck with me. After that, I moved slower. I stopped going for long walks. I gave up gardening. Even simple stretching felt risky. And over time, I noticed something troubling. My legs got weaker. My balance worsened. And the more I sat, the more tired I felt. That's the silent danger most people don't talk about. After 65, many of us avoid movement, not out of laziness, but out of fear. Fear of falling, fear of injury, fear of pushing too hard. My friend James, 78, used to play tennis once a week. But after twisting his ankle, he stopped altogether. He said, "I just can't afford to fall again." But a year later, he could barely get out of a chair without help. Not because of age, because of inactivity. Here's what I learned the hard way. Avoiding movement actually increases your risk of falls, injuries, and long-term disability. The less you move, the weaker your muscles become. Your joints stiffen, your posture suffers, your confidence fades. And before you know it, simple things like getting out of bed or reaching for a shelf become difficult. But staying active doesn't mean running marathons. It can be a short walk around the block, light stretching in the morning chair exercises, water aerobics, or even dancing in the living room to your favorite song. Every bit counts. When I started moving again, slowly, carefully, I noticed the change within a week. I stood taller, slept better, felt sharper. Movement gives your body strength, flexibility, and resilience. It reminds your muscles how to support you, and it gives your brain a reason to stay alert. So if fear is holding you back, remember this. The safest thing you can do for your body is to keep it moving. But there's another habit that can undo all your effort: what you put on your plate. Let's talk about how nutrition quietly affects your health and why processed foods can do more harm than you think. 6. Relying on processed foods and skipping balanced meals. After I retired, cooking didn't feel as exciting anymore. Some days it just felt easier to pop something in the microwave or grab a quick sandwich and call it dinner. A frozen meal here, a packaged snack there. It saved time, it was convenient, and I told myself it was good enough. But after a few months of this pattern, I started feeling off. I was more tired than usual. My blood sugar became harder to manage. I even noticed swelling in my ankles and a fogginess in my thinking. What I didn't realize was that my body was running low, not on calories, but on real nutrition. It turns out that many processed foods are packed with sodium, preservatives, and hidden sugars. But stripped of the fiber, vitamins, and nutrients our bodies need most, especially as we get older. My friend Margaret, who lives alone, told me she'd often skip lunch entirely or just eat crackers and cheese for dinner. Her doctor later told her she was iron deficient, had borderline high cholesterol, and was dehydrated. She was stunned. She thought she was doing fine. That's the hidden danger. You don't always feel the effects of poor nutrition until it's already caused real damage. As we age, our metabolism slows and our bodies become less efficient at absorbing key nutrients like vitamin D, B12, calcium, and magnesium. That means every bite matters more than it used to. Here's what helped me turn things around. I started planning simple, balanced meals: lean protein, colorful veggies, whole grains. I cut back on frozen dinners and canned soups. I prepped small portions ahead of time so I wouldn't have to cook every day. And I added smoothies with spinach, berries, and almond milk to boost my energy. Now I feel more alert, my digestion has improved, and my blood pressure is better controlled. Your food choices don't have to be fancy, just real, just intentional. But nutrition isn't the only thing that fuels us. There's another type of nourishment we often overlook: human connection. Let's talk about the final mistake: isolating yourself and what it quietly does to your body and mind. 7. Isolating yourself socially and emotionally. It hit me one afternoon while sitting in my quiet living room. The phone hadn't rung all day, no one had stopped by, and I hadn't spoken to another person since yesterday. At first I told myself I was just enjoying the peace, but over time, the silence didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt heavy. I used to be surrounded by people, at work, at church, at family gatherings. But now in my 70s, the days seemed to stretch out, longer and lonelier. I started pulling back without even realizing it. I'd skip calls from friends, avoid outings, even pass on invitations with the excuse, maybe next time. But the more I pulled back, the worse I felt. I wasn't just lonely, I was tired, forgetful, even anxious for no reason. Then I came across an article that changed my perspective. Loneliness isn't just an emotional state, it's a serious health risk. Studies show that chronic isolation in seniors is linked to increased risk of heart disease, higher rates of depression and anxiety, faster cognitive decline, and even earlier death. It shocked me, and it made me think of my friend George, who lost his wife and stopped coming to our weekly breakfasts. Within months, he seemed smaller, quieter. When I finally visited him, he said, "I just didn't feel like I mattered anymore." That's what isolation does. It convinces you that no one would notice if you disappeared. But here's what I learned. Connection is just as vital as food, water, or sleep. We were never meant to go through life, especially this chapter, alone. So I started reaching out again. Small steps, a phone call, a coffee with a neighbor, volunteering at the library once a week, and slowly the weight lifted. If you've been isolating yourself, please know this. It's never too late to reconnect, and doing so might just save your life. Now that we've uncovered these 7 common health mistakes, let's take a moment to reflect and talk about how small changes today can lead to a longer, stronger, more fulfilling life. Final thoughts. Your health is still in your hands. By the time we reach our 70s, it's easy to believe that most of the damage is already done, that what we're feeling is just part of aging. But that's not always true. So much of what we face in our later years isn't just the result of time. It's the result of small, everyday choices, ignoring a strange symptom, skipping that doctor's visit, sitting too long, eating too fast, staying too silent. And sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it until it starts to show in our energy, our memory, or our ability to do the things we love. But here's the good news. You have more control than you think. When you take care of the basics, movement, hydration, nutrition, connection, you're not just adding years to your life, you're adding life to your years. It's not about being perfect, it's about being aware. It's about catching those little mistakes before they become big ones. And most importantly, it's about believing that your health still matters, because you still matter. So take a moment. Which of these 7 mistakes spoke to you the most? What's one small change you can start with today? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. And if you found this video helpful, please like it, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about, because staying informed is the first step to staying strong. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.